flyfishingwithjeff.com, and I'm Jeff Carmichael, and we've had some requests the last few months to do some simple fly casting and instructions and those kinds of things, so that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to start with talking about fly rods themselves. Lots of different weights, sometimes it can be confusing, so here's a 2 weight, here's a 10 weight. You can kind of get the idea. The smaller the number, the smaller the rod. Larger the number, the larger the rod. And you can see even right here that this 10 weight's got a big musky fly on it. It's a 9-foot, used for pretty heavy stuff, all the way to tarpon, muskie, big bass, stripers, those kinds of things. Little 2 weight, used for casting to rising trout, maybe bluegill, bream. I use it a lot for smallmouth bass here locally. It's a great rod, 7'3". It's a Temple Fork Outfitter, kind of a finesse rod. I like that one. And so there you can kind of get an idea of the difference in these rod sizes. Tonight we're going to talk a little bit about casting and some simple stuff, and we're going to do so with what I consider kind of the universal rod. I've been asked a lot if I were going to buy one rod, what would it be? Well, probably a 5 weight, and this is a 2-piece 8'6" 5 weight. This is a Cabela's traditional 2 rod, very simple rod, not very expensive, and easy to use, along with a weight forward 5 weight floating line, and that's kind of a good all-purpose starting line. One of the things I've done that's real simple when you're casting and you're doing this practice, start off in your yard. Don't start out on water. There's things that water causes some headaches, and one of the easy things to do is just to take a hook. This is a size 10 hook, and clip the barb off of that hook. Find your wife's yarn, something of that nature. This is glow bug yarn. Tie it on, give yourself a, and you can even take and wet it to give it a little more weight if you need to, but that's a good casting tool to use. The other thing that I want you to do is to buy yourself or make a little elastic band right here. We're going to talk about that tonight, and we're going to talk about the very basics of casting. So just like a golf swing, your grip is important, stance is important. If you're going to start out, or even if you have started out, it's time to fix it and do it the right way. One of the things I like to do, you see people that cast with their finger on top. That's not my style, but just like a golf grip, there's 1,000 different styles and they all work for people. I like to have my thumb just to the inside. In fact, I like that V to be going right up the rib of the fly rod, and that allows me to turn and do some things with the fly rod later on. So we're going to do some simple casting here. One of the things I want you to do is to take this little piece of Velcro right here and slip it over the butt of the hook, and that's going to keep you from trying to cast with your wrist. That is a no-no. Alright, so again, I've got my rod hand, I've got my line hand, and as we start to do these, and there are other lessons online, these are the things you need to keep in mind. We've got us a target out here, a little red cushion, and all we're going to do is put our line out in front. Now, if you've watched the river run through it, you'll know that the father teaches using a metronome. That's a pretty good idea. We want to get into a rhythm of 1, 2, 1, 2, and that forward cast and back cast need to be as close to the same length as possible. What'll happen early on when you're trying to learn how to cast is that line's going to pile up right here in front of you, and the reason is you're not taking the line away quick enough. So I want you to start out with your right foot forward. I think the biology people would call this an ipsilateral pattern, but our right foot forward, weight on your front foot, line out in front, and I want you to just get used to picking this rod up, and you always hear 10 to 2. I'm not sure about the 10 part, but I am sure that 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock is about the right. So we're going to pick it up quickly, stop, and put it back down. Now the other thing I want you to notice is that my elbow isn't flying. Much again like a golf swing, we don't want a flying elbow. We want our elbow tucked in, and one of the things you can actually do is take and put a sock or a rag and put it under your arm to keep that elbow in. That's a good idea. Keep that elbow nice and close and pick the rod up, lay the rod back down. Pick the rod up, lay the rod back down. And we're pointing the rod, so we're stopping it up here at 1 or 2 o'clock, and then accelerating and stopping and letting the rod follow through on down. So we're going to look at our target now, and we're going to try to work on focusing on accuracy. We'll talk about this later, but there's lots of different kinds of cast. If you're an accurate caster, that's better than being a long caster. And all you long casters, if you're accurate and long, that's the best. But given the choice, I'd rather be accurate than long. So right now we've only got about 25 feet here. We've got some lines stripped out. We've got a little loop. I've got the line underneath my index finger of my right hand. I'm right-handed. I've got the rod pointed right at the target. I'm going to pick it up, stop, and drop it right back at that target. Pick it up, stop, drop it right back. And you can hear the rhythm now. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And that's what I want you to do. I want you to count in your head. You don't have to count out loud. This elastic band is keeping us from getting in this situation, which is bad. We've got our elbow at the side. Do this in your yard. Do this at a park. Do this wherever you need. You can do it anywhere, even in a gym floor, those kinds of things. And just work on that right there. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, so those are some ideas for you. Get out, get practicing. We'll have some other videos up here in the future, and we'll start working with our left hand or our line hand a little bit, start working on hauling, maybe even double hauling somewhere down the line. But for right now, if you can get this figured out, get you a spider on there, a woolly booger, you can go out and catch fish.